It's a sewing day today and I'm going to be doing these Hussard jeans from Maison Fauve. I have made them before. They are a good fit on me. They're good for my junk in the trunk area, if that's what you call it. And I like the shape of the waistband. I'm going to couture my jeans, or try to, by adding some embellishments and details with embroidery. So if you're interested on how I tackle the Hussard jeans, stick around. Hi there, I'm Christine the Gemini Stitcher and welcome to my little sewing space. I've not said that for a week, so I thought I'd slip it in and welcome you all. If you're a recent new subscriber, thank you for subscribing and welcome to the Crazy Sewing Gang. Today's vlog, we're going to see how far I get with these Hussard jeans, because I'm going to do them with loads of little details on them. Well, as many as I can get away with without them looking like a pair of trashy jeans. So they're from Maison Fauve. They are a beautiful pair of jeans with lots of little details in them already. They have pin tucks on the front pockets and they're just a really nice fit for what I call a standard pair of jeans. They're not boot cut, they're not wide leg, they're not skinny jeans. They're just a nice comfy pair of jeans and we all like them, don't we? So, fabric. I'm using some denim that I got from Lamarzi Fabric, and it's some Hussard denim, so it's a high-end denim as well. Beautifully soft. So that's another reason for me to take my time and get these looking good. I've already made a start on my embellishments. I've embroidered roses on the back pockets, and I just thought I'd explain how I've ended up with these in the middle of the pocket, fingers crossed. So yesterday I showed you these roses on a big piece of fabric, and I did that. I embroidered them onto the fabric in the embroidery frame first. Then, to get them in the middle of the pocket piece, I could have just folded this where I wanted it, found the centre, pinned it on. But I thought I want to do belt and braces. I want to make sure that these roses are where I need them to be on the pockets. I didn't want to make any mistakes. So I got an old cellophane wrapper that had a pattern in. I think it was a style art pattern. And I cut, I don't know if you can see it, a piece of, there you go, it's shining a little bit. I cut the pocket piece out in the clear cellophane and then I laid that on the rose, got it in the middle. Perfecto. So just a little tip there, if you want to put an embellishment, an embroidery embellishment on your pockets, that's just how I do it. So we're going to make a start on the sewing. It's not going to be a sew along, so if that's what you're looking for, this isn't the one for you. I'm just going to give you some hints and tips as I go along. Hint and tip number one was how to put embellishments on your pockets. So I'm going to sew for a few hours today and we'll see how far we get with them. When I do something that I think I want to share with you, I'll keep bobbing back. So I'll make a start and see you in a bit. I've made a start. The first thing that you have to do is start with the front pockets, and I've embellished them. It tells you to top stitch along the top edge, so I've used cute floral decorative stitch on my machine, and I've used embroidery thread in a beautiful colour of green to create, is it a daisy chain? A floral edge stitch. So I've done that on both of my fronts. Stage 1 complete. The next bit that I've got to do is attach the other pocket bag to the back of the pocket that's going to go like that at the back and form that side front leg piece. But you've got to put the pleats in. So the way that I do the pleats, you can see it's all been cut through. So I cut through the pleat lines, pin it onto my pattern piece, and then I fold them back one at a time and use a ruler to draw that line with a removable pen. Then fold that one back and draw that line. You catch my drift? And then my pleats form in the right places. So we're going to go and do that next. Quick update for you. I've got the pocket bags sewn into my front side pockets. I've done the little pleats at the top. My cute top stitchings there, my little flowers. So now this needs joining on to the centre front pieces. Now with this pattern you get a left centre front and a right centre front. So make sure you're using the right ones. But I just want to tell you something that I do with these front pieces that isn't in the pattern. So you get your fronts and then you also get your fly pieces. And these are separate, and this is a personal thing. It's just how I construct my zip flies on all my trousers and jeans. I just find it easier, and we'll go into that in more detail when I get to that stage. But if you want to do it the same way that I'm doing it, and you're trying the Hussards, this is how my front pieces look. The centre front crotch pieces, because onto the centre front pieces I pin that fly section next to them and cut them out in that shape, and I do that with both the front pieces. So I've got a left front piece and a right front piece. There we go. And that's what they look like. They've both got that fly section added on to them. So if you want to do it my way for your fly zip, that's what your centre front crotches should look like. I've now got my two front pieces, leg pieces constructed. I told you these jeans are a meaty sew. So don't forget we've got that crotch added in at the front. Got my beautiful stitching on top of my pockets, and I've sewn the side to the centre front and done top stitching all the way down the centre front. Now to do that top stitching, I've not used top stitching thread. I've used the same embroidery thread that I've used on my pocket tops, but I've done it as a triple stitch, so it comes out looking rather smart. So the pattern now tells you to go on and start constructing the back of the jeans. However, because of the way that I like to do my fly zip, we're going to continue with the front. Well, I am. And I'm going to construct my front fly, and then the whole of the front is flat. It's easier to sew it together. I will give you hints and tips and show you the various stages of doing this front fly, but this is not a full sew along for doing a front fly zipper. I will just explain how I've done it. So let's get that zip sewn in. So I've done a bit of prep work for my zipper. This is what it looks like at the front. It's all sewn together, but there's no zip in yet. Just turn it round and then you can see. So I've got my 2 front fly pieces there. What I've done is marked my seam allowance in down to just above where the curve is, and from the top to that point I've done a tacking stitch. Then I've changed to my normal stitch, done a back stitch and sewn the normal seam in down to the bottom of the crotch. Then I've snipped in the seam to where that little back stitch is, opened the seam out and pressed the 2 fly zip pieces flat. Now we're going to put the zip in. The next stage is complete, and what I've done is placed my zip right side facing down onto the fly, lined the edge of it up with the tacking stitch seam, pinned it in place, made sure the bottom of the zip is 1/2 inch up from the bottom of the fly, and left the spare zip at the top for now. So I stitched that down, but not the side that's up against the seam, the other side. Stitched that down. Then I've turned it over so that it's facing the right side. Folded the fly zip back and top stitched along the edge there. Let's get this zip finished. The next bit's done, and all you do is you're focusing on your 2 fly zip pieces. Once you've sewn that edge and then turned it and top stitched it, lie it flat, wrong side up on a flat surface, and just let the zip fall over to the other side, and it will create a staggered, if you like, covered zip. So your seam ends up here, and there's your zip, and then you're going to sew the rest, the other side of the zip, down to the other fly section that you've got. They say do 2 rows of stitching for this to keep it secure. I use a triple stitch on my machine, so that's been triple stitched down at that side. I've now done the top stitching on my fly. Now, it depends how confident you are. Some patterns have a template you can stick on the front and follow. The Hussards don't. So I've decided myself where I want my fly to be, or top stitching to be. What I do is hand tack it down on the inside so that I know it's in the right place, and then I can use that stitch that I've done as a guide to do my top stitching. The thing to make sure is that on the inside you don't sew over the bottom of your zip, because that won't do your machine any good and it will break your needle. So as long as it doesn't touch that and it keeps the zip in place, that's the top stitching done. I've again used the embroidery thread, and I've done it as a triple stitch so that it stands out on my cream jeans. We've just got the fly shield to put on the back, and then that's the zip finished. So there we go. There's the front of my jeans all finished. So let's recap what we've done so far. I've got the pockets in, the slant pockets at the front. I did some fancy schmancy floral edge stitching at the tops of the pockets in my green embroidery thread. I've done the tuck detail or pleat detail at the pocket, top of the pockets on both sides. I've then joined the fronts, centres and the side front together, and then I've triple stitched a line of top stitching in the same green embroidery thread, and I've put my fly zip in, which is looking rather smart. So the lining of the pockets that I didn't show you, I've done, to pull it out, I've done in some quilting cotton from my stash with a leaf print on that I think looks rather nice with it. I'm going to finish there for today because I've got a hair appointment this afternoon. The old roots need doing. Yes, I'm not a natural blonde. So that's the front of the Hussards all done. Tomorrow we're going to get everything finished and hopefully we'll get a good fit. So I'm going to love you and leave you for now, and see you again for some more Hussard fun in the morning.